I get it. We keep saying black fans need to show up for black books. But bro, if the black books aren't being written well, or they're not being drawn well, how can you expect people to support them? We got Black Lightning. I was part of the first wave of the All-In books. So I just finished reading all 5 issues of it. And I've also been reading Justice League. And we also know that this was the tee up for the eventual DC Power book. So I'm just going to lay down my thoughts right here. All right. I did not like Black Lightning. I didn't like it. I felt that Black Lightning was trying to do too much with those 5 issues. I still think there was a place for you to tell a very simple ABC Black Lightning story. It got to a point in the story where I had no idea what was happening in this book. I blinked and all of a sudden Black Lightning's with the family and everybody else is together and then the book is over. It was like whiplash. It didn't work for me. And now I had the Power one shot. And if I'm going to talk a little bit about that, this is not how you get people excited for a new team. Whoever that they got to do the individual stories did a major disservice. And not only the writing, actually no, the Vixen and Bolt story, that was okay. My big issue is just like, besides that, the stories weren't really interesting. And also the art was fucking atrocious. I have a very striking suspicion that like this is something that they didn't let this cook. They just said, oh shit, we need to think about black fans. We haven't done much for them in a while, but that's a lie because you guys have been doing stuff for black fans. You gave us some of the best black stories in the last couple years. And I'm always going to go back to Green Lantern. I'm always going to go back to Cyborg. I'm always going to go back to Steelworks. So now, how am I supposed to be excited for Power Company when the main book that you're trying to promote it, Black Lightning, it didn't even do a good job telling its own story? The one shot that you're using for Power was very rushed. There were some panels where people's faces weren't even drawn all the way. You have Duke Thomas, who's a grown... Why was he drawn like a little kid? Like, there was so much wrong with that. And then now you're telling me regular average people are supposed to be excited for the Power Company when you didn't even do a good job boosting this up. Like, what happened? And I get it. We keep saying black fans need to show up for black books. But bro, if the black books aren't being written well, or they're not being drawn well, how can you expect people to support them? I'm very disappointed in the last 2 or 3 months of the last 5 or 6 months, because beforehand I was praising DC. I said, yo, thank you for War Journal. Thank you for Steelworks. Thank you for all the other books that you guys have been doing. But what the fuck is this? Mm-hmm. So now, fellas, I asked this question: am I tripping? Take the floor, please.
No, you're not tripping. But I do want to play some context of things. Well, even before I get to context, number one, and this will tie into the numbers, which I'll get into in a minute. I got a sinking suspicion that they're not going to be doing these DC Power anthologies much longer. I think 1 or 2 more years tops, because I think that they believe that the returns are not there. So because of that, I think they're not even going out and getting, as good of talent as you could for these books. You mean to tell me y'all couldn't get Jamal Campbell for a story for one of these one shots in the anthology this year? Come on, bro. Eight pages like y'all have seen my man's art. Hell, y'all have paid for my man's art before DC.
He's on Satana.
Yes, and not just that. Thinking of Far Sector, which, that art is a big part of what put Joe Mullen on the map. You couldn't get him for an 8-page one shot for this dog. Come on now. Yes, the Vixen and Bolt story, that was my favorite out of the book, but it's just getting to a point where I don't know. I don't know if the effort is there. Like you said, some of the art in some of these, where it was faces that might could have used some more detail. Sometimes things were just straight up hard to make out, and some of that was in the Vixen and Bolt story, and that was the good one. The Duke and Jace one was fine. It got me to read a Jace story again without being annoyed, so I guess that's a plus. But the one shot it seems like they're putting less and less effort in it. Because I don't know if anybody noticed this year, it was half the size of the previous two. Right? Like they were doing the 80, 90 page one shots. This one was like 46, I want to say. So already you see, okay, we're devoting less resources to it financially, at minimum financially. I think this is about to go the way of the Asian celebration, where, DC did it for 1 year. They saw what the returns were, said, hey, it's not worth it. So now we just give you variant covers when the Asian Pride Month comes around every year. I suspect that's what's going to happen with your Black characters. Sad to say, but I think it's what's going to happen. Because, and like Ro did say, if you want people to support, you need to give them quality. And I don't disagree with that. But when your big yearly Black anthology book comes in at 193 out of 200, that is a damn disgrace. When you talk about that low on the sales chart, you are being outsold by reprints. You are being outsold by books who kind of fell in a weird spot on the cutoff date on the prior month before. And you are being outsold by creator-owned books. And I'm not talking about big time like Image or Boom creator-owned books. I'm talking about these small publishers who nobody has heard of. Like, that's the type of stuff you're getting outsold by. So that tells me that there is, at best, a disconnect between this effort that you're trying to do with these books and, at worst, a serious problem. So, I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to go back to the drawing board. On to the Black Lightning of it all. The Black Lightning book, I said on time, I wanted to love this book. This book was not a Black Lightning book. This book was an ensemble book, which is fine if you're going to, one, if you sell me on it being an ensemble book, but that's not what you sold me on. You sold me on a Black Lightning book. And two, if you're going to devote more than 5 issues to it. You didn't even give me the standard 6 for most DC minis. I can't remember last time DC on the mainline stuff did a 5 issue. I think Doom Patrol. I think that ended up being 5 issues.
No,
but
that got extended.
That got extended. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so now I can't even remember when the last time a 5-issue one was. Okay. So you're only devoting 5 issues to Black Lightning. In 2 of those issues, he is in less than half of the book. In a 3rd issue, he just beat the half by like 1 page. You spend so much time focused on his family, his daughter's trauma, spinning out of absolute power, which is fine, right? Absolute power is a thing. We know it affected the Black Lightning family because it took them off of the board completely during the event. Mm-hmm. So, something was going to, that was stuff that was going to have to be addressed. Cool, 100%. I absolutely understand that. I feel like it could have been handled better. More of it could have been through Jefferson's perspective. We didn't get that. Too much of the focus was spent on Jennifer and Anissa because my sinking suspicion is, Jennifer and Anissa cannot sell a book. Let's call a spade a spade. Okay. But then you also want to set up the Power Company initiative. So now that's more page time being taken away from Jefferson Pierce, right? You have to bring back Josiah Power. You have to reintroduce him to modern fans. That's page space that he's losing. Again, fine. You're telling me you're setting up an initiative for your black characters who really haven't gotten any shine in a while, and you want to kind of tee them up in this book from another about another black character. Okay, fine. I can see the logic there. But again, you're only doing this over 5 issues. That's a very limited amount of space, guys. Then we get to the final issue where we bring in when Jefferson has his confrontation at the end with I don't know, I can't remember if it was a congressperson, a city council person, whatever, Harriman, right? Harriman had been in the book before, so that's not my beef with it. It's whatever. Dog, if you're telling me Jefferson Pierce's most well-known villain is the one behind all of this, is bankrolling all of this this strife that Jefferson has gone through over these 5 issues, maybe don't wait until the last few pages of the last issue to tell me that. If Tobias Well was meant to be a part of this story, put him in the story. That is one of the few well-known Black Lightning villains. Hell, he was the central part of his TV show. I feel like that could have been a selling point to get more people, more eyes on this book. Oh, is Black Lightning going up against a villain that I know? And I'm not expecting you to give them the dynamic from the show, but hey,
it's a good selling point.
Right, that's something that can be used to get more eyes on the book. More eyes equates to more dollars equates to a possible extension. Because now we're going to talk about the goddamn numbers. After issue 5, I watched the Black Comics Lord interview about the series. And they were giving the praise where they felt it was due to the book. They felt a little better about it than us. And there were things that I did like about the book. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just completely shitting on it. But they said something that was very interesting. They said, hey, between our YouTube and our Facebook, we have 96,000 members. If we take just the numbers from our YouTube page, it's 76,000. If all 76,000 of y'all were buying this book would have been extended, and not just towards still in the miniseries territory. It would be an ongoing right now.
Ooh.
But the author not only agreed with that, but he said something else very interesting. Hell, he said if we took half of those numbers and everybody pre-ordered and bought this book, we would be an ongoing title right now. Kids, I'm not the best in math, but I know what half of 76,000 is. So you mean to tell me 38,000 copies? So this book sold less than 38,000 copies. So, hey man, like
math's not math, man.
Yeah, you see all the people bitching on the timelines about, hey, black characters need this, black characters need that. Which
I'm about to cook.
Fully agree, they do, but y'all need to show up for them. And people say, oh, well, if they just promoted the book. Now, this is one instance where Black Lightning was one instance where I'm going to say, hey, that the promotion could have gone harder because on their socials, at least, it got to about book 3 before DC talked about the book. Issue 3 before DC talked about it. But you know what? But you know where it was advertised? In the house ads, in the books before the comic launches. When you actually buy a comic and you read it, there are ads in the book advertising what books are upcoming from a company.
There's even one, the recent ones. It did take until like a couple of issues, but they have house ads where it's just Justice League. And they show you the books.
Well, before the book launched. You want to know where there were ads for it? In my LCS. So, but see, when you don't buy books, you don't know that books are being advertised because you want to read your books off of your website. I'm not going to say the names because y'all just got one of y'all sites taken down, but there's neither here nor there. But y'all know the sites and y'all read them on there, and those books and those scans don't include the ads, so you don't know what's coming. Well, I'll take that. Some of them probably do, but the house ads in between, when it's annoying when You're flipping through your comic, and in the middle of a story, you got an ad smack dab in the middle of it. Yeah,
Ah, the 90s.
that that happens when you buy your books.
Mm-hmm.
You get advertised. You see advertisements for other books that the companies have coming out. So pre-order your books, or actually buy your books when they're coming out, and you will see the advertisements for the books that you complain are not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Tag
here's
me in,
the other
AJ.
thing.
Tag me in.
I'm coming for you. I got one before. Because even when y'all try to say, "Oh, I read my books digital," hey man, I do. I read a lot of stuff digital too to avoid spoilers. Them
Some
digital books
ads.
have ads in them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all
Hmm.
full of shit. But I'm gonna hand it off to Q. I'm sure he's got some good things to say about this topic. But take it away, man.
So I'm gonna lead off with I need everyone on the timeline to stop capping
Ooh.
because if you look at some of the clout chasing, especially the pro black character accounts, they have 12,000 likes, 30,000 likes on some old outlandish sensationalized topic about whatever black hero who has a book coming out or they want a book. And like he just said, Black Lightning didn't sell 35,000 copies from the math, just from basic math. And so less than that. But let's think about everybody that was under all those tweets. Because I make a point to retweet Hill and Rodney Barnes and DC Updates is a really good account. I think he's done a really good job of keeping his account neutral. It ain't his opinions, it's just the news, right?
Spoiler is
Mm-hmm.
shit though, but that's neither here nor
Yeah,
there.
he is a little bit, but I mean that's just the nature of the industry right now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first person to get it out. But more serious about the book. All right. I will say I'm gonna start with love first. I'm gonna start with love. It's good to see Black Lightning had a mini series, right? That's the fact that it went five. I guess I'm okay with it. Volcania is canon now, right? Nissa got a
That was
power
cool.
up.
That was cool. I'll say that. That was cool to see.
Like I said, we're gonna start with the positives first. We got the power company coming down the pipeline, right? Um, but AJ and Roe, they both hit it on the head. This was should have been named the Lightning Family or the Pierce Family book. This
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a Jefferson Pierce book. And
Hmm?
I think I threw a lot of grace saying, at least the first issue, a lot of that took place in Justice League issue 1 or 2, right? But I will say five started off strong. I don't know who's the editor on this story. I don't know who pitch this was. I don't know if this pitch was maneuvered and kind of chopped up, to fit the narrative that Wade was pushing for the initiative
Mm-hmm.
or were absolute. I don't know what the issue is there, but you don't if you're trying to like coming into this initiative, I thought just based off the cover, they were going to prop up just Black Lightning, Star Sapphire, and the Atom. I thought those three people were going to get
Ah.
major pushes, and in theory, they kind of have, right? Because the Atom Project is a top 5 book in DC right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Starfire, I mean Star Sapphire is prevalent in Green Lantern. She's had a lot of growth in Justice League and Green Lantern. Like I really like her
Mm-hmm.
character. I like Carol in the forefront as a hero. It's kind of a cool dynamic evolution for her. With Black Lightning, it's just why wasn't Tobias Wells in this book? Why did I
Yeah.
get a bullshit mayor candidate or like Senate person, senator? Um, it should have been Tobias. And then you had an opportunity to give Tobias a power up with everything coming out of
Yeah.
absolute.
Mm.
Like to kind of put him on par with Jefferson, right? Like one, there's no reason why everything that was done in the Black Lightning TV show isn't just can't like just fall into Tobias's Wells wheelhouse now. Just make him that guy. It's
Mm-hmm.
just make him. Give him some powers, something that maybe he's rubber or some shit. I don't know. Whatever contradicts Black Lightning's powers. That's what Tobias Wells should be, mixed with a little kingpin, self-hating black man type shit, right? That was compelling. That's why the show lasts as long as it did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this book was more so about setting up Jennifer and Anissa. Now I don't know if they got a Thunder and Lightning book coming out or they plan on doing something with that. But like you guys said, you do kind of get lost because it's it the what's the dude Isaac?
Yeah, I forget. Like
That
that subplot, it was
whole
so
it, it,
j- jumbled.
yeah, like you didn't have time to make me care about Isaac, right? You saved him, that was cool. Then you brought him to the initiative so they can kind of oh no, he went home and he had the little power flare up. They brought him to the initiative. Then he was a bad guy. No, I remember the issue where like he like Volcano or whoever came to him and propositioned him or whatever. But this needed to be 12 issues or at least 8. You know,
Yeah,
this needed some room. This needed some legs. If you're gonna do these and like you said, these initiatives and these one shots, you gotta give them some room. Like Black Lightning, not the character that needs that much micromanaging. I think
yeah,
if you're competent enough, you can get it if you're a competent enough editorial and writer and artist, and y'all got a plan, there's no reason why Black Lightning can't sell 40,000 copies.
mm-hmm.
Because one, he had a syndicated television show. Like
Yep.
that means thousands of people were viewing that show. Why?
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me you can't advertise or push? Well, I can't say they haven't been advertising because they have advertised all in on WWE. They're in
Oh
chocolate
yeah,
bars. It's in Walmart. They have advertised all in, right? So I'm not gonna say they're not doing their part there, but the issue is just you're micromanaging the wrong characters, right? Like
yeah.
I look at the Challenger of the Unknown has way more rope than Black Lightning, which is weird because the shit they're doing over
Mm,
there, like I'm learning about these characters on the fly. But I kind of think about like some recent podcasts like leading up to All In for Mark Wade. He really, 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 really likes Challengers of the Unknown, right? So that's why they're embedded into the story. And
mm-hmm.
I think Black Lightning's there because he likes Black Lightning and they need a black character to be in the lead. That's not Cyborg because he wants Cyborg with the Teen Titans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Traditional shit. So I do think it's a little bit of that, but I mean, it boils down to, bro, like it just needed more room. Now, the power issue, I like the Vixen story. I didn't really I think I went through the motions. I didn't wasn't paying attention too much attention to the art itself. I I want to say I like the Signal and Batman story, but I really, 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 really have never liked anything by Vita Ayala, bro. I I
Ah.
I know AJ, you just said that you didn't cringe when you read it, and I'm just like,
Oh, I did.
man, Jace is not 40 years old or 50 years old. He's like maybe
Yeah.
32, right?
Yeah.
So he wouldn't be talking jive damn near. You know what I mean? And like you said, Duke is about like 16, 17. He's supposed to be a
Nah,
nerd. I mean,
he's even older than that now because we saw him taking
okay.
college classes with
Oh shit,
Oh,
that's
well,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
right.
last
yeah,
outside the story.
Oh,
yeah,
well, I
the
guess he's 1920 then.
yeah, and
Um,
what was that in?
But that's so I'll say it like this. I'm not gonna say Vita Ayala is not a good writer. I'm not she's in a position that I want to be in, right? So I'm gonna respect the craft. But I feel like everything that she has been on has either been a reach, I mean, by the people who put her in that position to have that job, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Right? I don't think she's grasped the voice correctly of Nubia. I don't think she
Yeah,
had the correct voice for Static. And she for certainly fuck sure doesn't have the voice for Jace Fox,
yeah.
right? So, and I think she's getting work. I'll say it privately,
Nah, you
but
can say it. You can say it, bro. You can say it. Say what you gotta
she's
say.
getting work for a certain reason, and I'm cool with that reason. Don't get me wrong, I ain't hating, but you can use her voice on a character that fits it, like
Mm,
Harper Row, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
like oh girl from Spirit World, a
yeah.
voice where that could work. but you're forcing her to tap into something that she can't, because she didn't like when you think about her. Static's angry. He's so angry. I was like, Virgil? Wow. I guess he's mad because of Black Lives Matter stuff. I guess it makes sense. But they have, I mean, get the pronoun right. They have a tendency to over belabor points. And I feel like everything she has touched has not really been left in good standing after she left. So it took me out of reading that book, as much as the art carried it. There, and like I said, there was a good moment, like the moment they had, like the final, their teamwork kind of came through, and they had the idea like we should do this more. Like she nailed that, I think. But everything leading up to that was kind of like, man, in the power story. I left away. I left from that Josiah story like liking it, right? Like I'm interested in about the character, right? Because I'm not really, I wasn't reading DC at the time when the last Power series was going on. But like, he seems interesting enough. I like, the ending and the approach to Jefferson. I like that he's a prepared guy. I think if you can prop him up, a certain way, he could be a player in the tapestry. But nah, I mean, this the book just I there was no plan. Like,
Yeah.
how you just said, like, there's the Batman summits back, right? I said it privately. There needs to be a summit and a section of DC strictly for minority and people of color and the plans for those characters. And there should be a whole team dedicated just to that corner of the universe. You're building up Atlanta, you're building up Brooklyn, whatever you're building up, these writers need to be in like just same way like Ultimate Universe is, an absolute. This group of people need to be in cohesion, in sync with what they're doing, and then together that unit collaborate with the greater architectors to put it together. But like
Yes.
that's how you got to do that, because when you're doing this independent shit, like this is how you get Blood Hunt, right? This is how you get Blade Story getting cut short, because like yeah, hey, you know what's funny? Like ever since you kind of told me about what was said, I do kind of look at Blood Hunt kind of funny in the light now,
Yeah.
because the Blade series was so good and it had a bad guy that was pretty much the bad guy that was in Blood Hunt. So, and I don't know, but
How do I not mention Blade when I talk about Hill and all gas, no brakes? Oh my God, that first issue.
yeah,
But
it
that's neither
was.
here nor there. Jesus.
Oh my
But
god! I just
you
reread
know,
it again. Yeah.
and you know what's funny? You know what's crazy? Unfortunately, you're looking at the beginning of Blade getting the same treatment as T'Challa. So
Yeah,
I,
Oh.
it's going to happen
I'm
Oh.
calling it right
as long
now.
as this movie keeps getting delayed.
Calling it right now, bro. Calling it right goddamn
Oh.
now.
Damn. That's a.
And then
Oof.
after that, if that happens, then you got to start having some real dialogue about Marvel and their practices at that part,
Hmm.
because you just had Dustin Wynn come out and talk about how they treat artists. So
Hey. No, if that's not a good note to wrap up on, then I don't know what the fuck is, but like to end, I wish we took more care. Like I'm also gonna give some grace here too, because I feel like it sounds like I'm shitting on it 100%, but like I will say this: Brandon Thomas, for the most part, he gets the characters. He gets Black Lightning. He gets everybody that was in that book. He gets them. He understands them. My issue with him, and that's just been an issue with him with a lot of the recent stuff, is bro, you don't gotta put too much sauce in it. This is too much
maybe
sauce. Too much sauce. I mentioned Deep Target. Like in the middle, I'm gonna say this for the same thing I'm gonna
yeah.
say for Deep Target. There is a good story here. There are good representations of these characters. There's a good voice for these characters. The problem is that like the execution just needs work. That's it. All the pieces are there. It's just the execution. If he can nail that, my brother, he's gonna be in good standing. But the problem is just like not everybody's gonna have the grace that I have. Not everybody's gonna have the grace that Quintin has. Not everybody's gonna have the same grace that AJ has. right? We have to look at this from the grander point of just like the average reader. The average reader wants a story that's digestible. They want these characters to be propelled from the beginning to the middle and to the end. So whether they get whether they get a continuation or not, they at least say with this body of work here, no matter how many the issues, okay, this character, they grew. I don't get that here. The only thing I get from here is just like they stop some shit from happening and Jeff is now the person that's going to lead this new team. So now, which brings me to, and I was going to say, I have a little bit of PTSD from what happened with Aquaman. I do. Mm-hmm. Because he was the one that was spearheading that whole thing, and Aquaman did not even last a full trade. Maybe less than that. So now I'm worried you passing the ball off to Hill. In a perfect world, Hill doesn't have to do that much work in that one shot. But because the work has been so jumbled, like, I don't even know how many pages that one shot's gonna be. Hill has to write his ass off. What?
I was gonna say, I think it's 48 pages, but then also, dog, look at, like you just say, it's gonna be jumbled. Look at all the stuff he has to tackle, dog.
Yeah.
First off, the Power Company storyline itself, right? But then you gotta, okay, Black Lightning just had a book, so you don't have to do, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of it, you don't have to do a ton of work with him, dog. Jace hasn't had much of anything since I Am Batman ended. Vixen had the 6 issues in Birds of Prey. Prior to that, you really hadn't seen her outside of one shots going all the way back to, I want to say 2018 when Justice League of America ended, because that was the last ongoing she was in. And y'all know how they do Duke. He's background noise in most stuff that he's in now. Really hasn't had a strong presence since the Outsiders storylines in Urban Legends, and before that, Batman and the Outsiders. That's a lot of work to do.
Oh, well, and Bolt.
Bolt, I forgot about him. So he's not going to have a ton to do with Duke. He's written Duke before. He's written Jeff before, and Jeff just got something. But okay, so that's Jace, so that's Vixen, and then Bolt. Dog. That's a lot for 48 pages. And you have to tackle a new team that's supposed to be coming out of this. Now, Brandon Thomas has said, that there are plans for the Power Company after. If it gets an ongoing or mini, who knows? But he says even if it doesn't, there are contingencies for him to continue writing them. So, maybe this is just more setup, but I don't know. Seems like it's going to be a rough job, but good luck.
Yeah, man. So, in a perfect world, this could have been handled a lot better so he doesn't have to do that much. But, we'll see. I believe in Hill, but this is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a real tough one. I really like what Quintin said, man. I like what Quintin said. I think moving on, get some of your top tier writers, and also I said this in the chat, but I say it here too. Like, you know what? It's okay to throw some white writers in that conglomerate also. It's okay. Like, they work well together. I mean, you got Jeremy Adams and Homie who did Cyborg. They're the ones doing Green Lantern right now.
Yep.
You got Ryan Parrott and John Ridley. They're doing the Atom Project. Throw some good white writers in there too.
Man, it's white people. It's white people who can write the shit out of black characters.
Yeah, so
Al Ewing with Storm and X-Men Red, Hickman with T'Challa, like in multiple times in different books. Like, y'all got to stop just wanting demographics to line up perfectly between writer and character, dog. That shit is played out, man.
Like, so just do that. So yeah, I'm 100% on board with a conglomerate, and you throw a select few writers in there, and occasionally throw some big names in there too, and really boost them up. Because that's the part about comics that I love, bro. It's just like, it's at the end of the day, when you take out all the fuck shit, it's literally just different groups of people helping other people out, right down to the fucking writing of it. So let's do that. It doesn't have to be just black writers. We've tried that. It's 50-50 at this point. Let's throw some other voices in there. Let's do it. Let's do it.